Perhaps more than any other shooter series in this console generation, Insomniac's PS3 exclusive Resistance games have best captured the desperation of war. War is horrifying in any context, but it's particularly bleak in Resistance, and it's safe to say that things are looking pretty dire for the human race when the third game kicks off.
Come on! Come on!
It's been 4 years since the events of Resistance 2. The once thriving human war effort has dwindled down to almost nothing, with isolated pockets of humanity still struggling to fend off the Chimera.
Tommy Dean, tell us what you saw.
About a dozen hybrids, and a stalker, headed right down Main Street.
This time, you play as Joseph Capelli, a family man who's been recruited in a last-ditch effort to close the ominous wormhole that's opening up over New York City. Resistance 3's campaign is tighter, scarier, and more cinematic than previous titles, and has a 3-act structure that provides numerous unexpected twists and turns along the way. Resistance 3 is set in a war-ravaged landscape where humanity is on the brink of extinction. To underline this, the game uses a drastically muted color palette. The first third of the game is almost entirely brown. While this definitely helps sell the lifelessness of the world and a sense of dread, it can be a little drab. Thankfully, the visual design does change over the course of the game. The graphics themselves aren't quite up to the incredibly high standard of Sony's other big shooter series, Killzone, but the scope of Resistance 3 is a lot bigger.
Shit! She took down a dropship!
With much larger environments, stunning vistas, and enormous creatures, these are easily the most impressive visuals that the series has seen yet. Resistance 3 controls wonderfully. The game has tight and responsive shooting mechanics, ensuring you're equipped to deal with the many moments you're outnumbered by dozens upon dozens of feral chimera. And yes, that happens a lot. It's also incredibly satisfying each time you kill one of these monsters, as they always let out an explosive death growl before they expire. This time around, Insomniac has really amped up the terror. The second act of the game will have you on the edge of your seat. Creepy environments like mines, caves, sewers, and even a prison make for one seriously spine-chilling experience. Luckily, you're never without an arsenal of awesome weapons. In keeping with the high standards set by the previous games, Resistance 3's guns give you free reign to kill creatively. Old favorites like the Auger and Bullseye are back, only now each weapon automatically levels up the more you use it, unlocking upgrades like incendiary ammo on the fly. There are also a few new weapons. The Mutator causes enemies to rapidly grow boils that swell up and explode, while you can also turn the Chimera's own Deadeye sniper rifle against them. Resistance 3 is littered with large-scale battles and towering bosses, but it's the game's ability to continually change things up that keeps the experience fresh. While we've all seen boat levels, train levels, and escort missions before, Insomniac has placed them perfectly throughout the campaign in order to diversify the action and keep the narrative's momentum going. Multiplayer has always been one of the Resistance series' strong points, and once again it's very well implemented. Some fans may be disappointed that the player count has been scaled down from 60 in the last game to just 16 in Resistance 3, but ultimately, this downsizing merely makes the multiplayer combat more personal and less chaotic. A host of unlockable weapon upgrades, and abilities like Predator Camo all add depth to an already robust online experience.
We're sitting ducks here, Charlie! My family! I'll find them! I promise!
Resistance 3 is a great addition to the series. Its campaign is polished, tightly structured, and wonderfully paced, with action that's a lot more focused than previous titles in the franchise. While the big military operations have been replaced by more intimate battles, the sense of scale is as intimidating as ever. As a story, it's also surprisingly emotional. Insomniac clearly wanted to make this game a harrowing and personal experience, and it has succeeded without question. Throw in a fully featured multiplayer suite, and Resistance 3 is a must-buy for PS3 shooter fans. For more on Resistance 3, be sure to check IGN.com.